For the first time, I have academic data showing what happens to students while they're in an intervention-based in-school suspension, and the results were better than expected. The last time I made one of these, it was to talk about my role changing from ISS teacher to instructional specialist working within the ISS room on a Title I campus. In that video, I mentioned the fact of how difficult it is to collect academic data for in-school suspension. Most of the research that does exist tells us in very general terms that even a single day of in-school suspension correlates with a sharp decrease in achievement on standardized tests, and the more days of placement, the wider the gap becomes. This is unacceptable to me and is unacceptable to the principal I work for. So as I understand it, my new position was created to stop the bleed. Stop the learning loss that accompanies exclusionary discipline. Before I go further, I should also mention none of what I'm about to share happens without outstanding classroom teachers. My coworkers are exceptional at Tier 1 instruction. They know how to move students forward regardless of where those students begin. What happens at ISS only matters because of high quality instruction already happening in every classroom. Ideally, to fully support Tier 1 instruction in every classroom, all three tiers of academic intervention should be available in ISS. Your teachers will thank you. Now let's talk about the data. I understand why schools don't track academic data for in-school suspension. The process is painstaking. It requires cross-referencing testing spreadsheets with placement records, and most schools only maintain placement information through the attendance office. Where we do things differently is that we also maintain a weekly ISS spreadsheet. Every placement is documented internally, making it much easier to connect ISS placements with academic performance later. This project wouldn't be possible without the record keeping that we do. I was on a different campus first semester, so January would be our starting point. The data we collected for those first quarterly assessments and checkpoints was encouraging, as I referenced in the first video. But for this final look, I decided to focus on one specific window, Benchmark-to-STAAR. For those outside of Texas, the benchmark is our March assessment used to predict STAAR performance, and then STAAR is our statewide assessment given in May. The question was, could we prevent academic decline for students who spend time in ISS between those two assessments? My instructional focus was math and English language arts. Not that I didn't help students with science or social studies along the way, but time is limited. I work with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Supporting all 4 core subjects multiplied by 3 grade levels would require 12 separate instructional groups per day. Not realistic with SPED and emerging bilingual students mixed into all of that as well. So we focused our effort where it would have the greatest impact. Between Benchmark and STAAR, we had roughly 200 ISS placements. Many of those were repeat placements from earlier in the year. That's pretty typical. In my experience, whether it's a Title I campus or not, only about 15 to 20% of students ever enter the ISS room. That number of students for a campus of our size isn't radically different from what you would see on a similar sized campus. Looking at math, we had complete benchmark data and for benchmark and STAAR data for 171 of those students. And here's what we found. Of those 171 students, 129 either maintained or improved their performance from benchmark to STAAR. Some maintained their achievement level, others increased by an entire performance band, moving from did not meet to approaches or from approaches to meets. That means 75% of students maintained or improved despite spending 1 or more days in ISS during that period. Even more encouraging, 52 students, or roughly 30%, actually increased by at least one performance level. Again, that's a credit to some truly outstanding teachers across the campus. Now we also need to talk about what didn't go well. 42 students, about 24%, dropped a performance band. That bothers me. But in context, we're talking about a group of students who already represent the highest risk portion of the campus. When we dug deeper, we found that at least 12 of those 42 students had also received out of school suspension or been placed in an alternative setting during the same period. I can't provide intervention for students who aren't on my campus. The next thing I want to examine is attendance. I haven't cross-referenced attendance yet, but I strongly suspect we'll find multiple absences among many of those same students. Being at school matters. Being at school in a room where learning is expected matters even more. That's just another reason ISS cannot be excluded from academic expectation. I currently have complete language arts data only for sixth grade. There, 67% of the students maintained or improved. That's about 8 points lower than math, but it isn't surprising. More than 60% of our students are identified as emerging bilingual, so English language arts is naturally a steeper climb. Now let's talk about the biggest limitation of this project. We don't have a comparison group. That's what I want to build next. So if you are a school or district leader interested in participating, I'd love to talk to you. Collecting this kind of data takes intentional systems, but I believe it's worth it. What excites me most for next year? I'll have the opportunity to work with these students for the entire school year, and so instead of just joining at the midpoint. The first semester gives us what we didn't have this year, which is time. Early in the year, ISS placements are typically much lower. That gives us the opportunity to identify skill deficits early, backfill those gaps, and send students back to class stronger before we start jumping into assessments. My hope is that those early interventions will compound over the course of the year and produce even stronger outcomes by the time STAAR rolls around. I'm excited to see what happens. I'll continue to share what we learn as the data comes in. If you support this kind of intervention and this kind of research, I'd appreciate it if you'd like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have a chance, visit my website at theartofiss.com.